Welcome to the Open Job Pink Couch. We're very pleased to have Duncan on the couch with us. Duncan, Air Canada is in the news all the time lately. So much going on. We could probably spend half an hour. Let's start with tagging Carry On. Big move on your part, and I'm sure welcomed by a lot of people.
Well, I think it's welcomed by not only our frontline employees, but also guests on board the aircraft. You know, I think we all have experienced trying to get on an aircraft and you've got someone with 3 or 4 bags trying to cram them in just above where you're sitting, and there's no space for your bag, and it's very frustrating for a lot of our guests. So, you know, this is something that impacts our onboarding process, and it's something that's important for not only our frontline people, but also the comfort of our guests as well. You know, as we get more and more improvements in load factor, and as aircraft get larger and densing up aircraft, it becomes more and more of an issue. And obviously it also impacts on-time performance, which is a financial hit that we're trying to reduce.
Now, there's going to be obviously a slight delay in the process because they have to tag the bag at check-in, correct? So just explain that to us.
Yeah, so I think to begin with, we're going to have people both at the gate as well as at security reminding our guests about bag sizes and making sure that we can accommodate all of the bags for all of our guests on board. There is a bag tag that we're going to be putting on every bag that identifies that it does meet the size requirements, and also the number of bags that are going on board. So, you know, we are really hopeful that this will improve the onboarding process and certainly will reduce frustration for all of our guests. So I think it's welcomed by many.
I'm sure it is, and it's extremely important, I think, for travel agents to pass that message on to their clients.
Yeah, it's really important for our partners and our distribution partners to make sure that their guests understand that this new process is in place. It starts next week, and it's something that we're committed to. You know, United went through this process not so long ago. It was you know, a bit of a struggle at first, but certainly now United feels that it was absolutely the right thing to do, and certainly their guests certainly appreciate the opportunity to have somewhere to put their bags.
Interesting move. All right, let's move on to financials.
Sure.
Record results in the first quarter for Air Canada.
Yes.
Which is very, very impressive. I think a lot of people are watching what you're doing and what's going on. But of course, for the agent, it brings up confusion. Because I think for the trade, seeing that Air Canada is making money on the heels of cutting back on a commission on Tango fares creates a bit of a contrast. So let's address that.
Sure. Well, I think first of all, there isn't a direct relationship between a 7% Tango commission at source across the board versus you know, Air Canada's profit. The fact of the matter is we made an investment. We thought we would see a bigger return on the investment of introducing a time of ticketing commission across the board at 7%. The reality is we didn't get anywhere near the type of support that we thought we would get. And quite frankly, it's no different than managing your own business. You can't continuously throw money at something that just isn't generating a positive result. So, you know, we made the decision to take those funds and reinvest it. So it's not about Air Canada taking those funds and putting it in our pocket. The fact is we redistributed that money and we're starting to incent agencies to drive the type of traffic that we need in order to be consistently profitable, which is the flex fare and above. You know, if an agency is living their life on being able to sell the lowest possible price, you know, the value, I would ask, you know, what value they're bringing not only to their customer, but also to their partner. The fact is we need higher yielding traffic, and there's value attributes assigned to a flex fare that we think are important. And, you know, the distribution channel is there to articulate that value to the customer. And then there's certainly demonstrating value not only to their customer, but also to their partner.
The value of the distribution channel.
Mm-hmm.
You, since you are at Air Canada, have really made a shift, I think, in the relationship and in the communication with the trade. You've made yourself very available. You have a blog. I think you have monthly calls now with a lot of the key players. Let's talk about that relationship with the trade. What value does really the distribution channel bring to Air Canada, just from a financial perspective?
Yeah, well, I think obviously, you know, I think it's an obvious statement that some of the highest yielding traffic that Air Canada generates is from the distribution from our distribution partners. You know, the fact is that TMCs are managing high value accounts and less price sensitive accounts, and the fact is that they generate the type of revenue that we need in order to continuously be profitable month over month and quarter over quarter. border. So the distribution network is incredibly important to us. We continue to invest in it. We've invested in it heavily, not only from a technology perspective, but also if you look at some of the things we've done recently with making commission available via GDS transactions. We haven't done that in a number of years, and again, what we've done is taken that 7% time of ticketing commission that wasn't generating the kind of results that we needed, and we've moved it elsewhere. And that suggestion came from the trade. So we didn't make these decisions in isolation. We had numerous discussions throughout the country with a number of different agencies, with many of our members of COE, as well as the large TMCs, and even some of the smaller agencies in terms of what was important to them. And commission and productivity was certainly important via the GDS. So we've done that.
Duncan, when I read some of the financial results and the analysts in the business sections of the papers, of course, they talk a lot about Air Canada's cost structure. The seat per mile being expensive. I know you're under a lot of pressure. The board is under a lot of pressure. Shareholders are putting pressure to bring that down. What steps is Air Canada taking to do that?
Well, Kaylin and the executive team started this process a number of years ago, and so we've had cost transformation projects in place. We've been able to drive out significant amount of cost from the organization relative to productivity. If you look at some of the activities that we've had about densing up the 777, that aircraft now is much more economical for us to operate. The fact is that it doesn't cost $1 to fly from Vancouver to Sydney, Australia. No. The reality is we need the right economics in order for that to work. So densing up the back of the aircraft has allowed us to operate into markets with that aircraft that historically we just couldn't do from an economic perspective. The introduction of the 787 has allowed us to enter markets that we just couldn't make work historically either from a cost perspective. It's a state-of-the-art aircraft. It's an incredible experience. We really encourage everyone to try it. The investment in the 737 MAX is another example of replacing the narrow-body fleet to more efficient and cost-effective aircraft. There have been just so many different things that Air Canada has done in order to improve productivity. We signed a 10-year agreement with our pilots, unprecedented. And we have the pilot group on board, and we're all swimming in the same direction, which makes a huge difference. All of those combined have really allowed us to reduce our costs over time. The introduction of Rouge is another example of our ability to reduce our costs by having much more efficient aircraft operating in markets where historically with the mainline fleet we just wouldn't have been able to continue to do that.
Capacity, huge inroads, of course, tons of new routes. Yeah. I mean, it's nonstop, and now increasing capacity into the U.S. as well, where some of the U.S. carriers have pulled back. Is there a fear that it will really put pressure on fares?
Well, I think, first of all, 90% of our growth between now and 2020 is focused on the international markets. So there's not a lot of incremental capacity going into the domestic markets. Certainly transborder, Sixth Freedom traffic into the U.S. is important to us, and we've seen massive growth on that on a month-over-month basis. The majority of our wide-body aircraft are pointed at new markets that, create new opportunity for us and add value and is accretive to the Star Alliance network. And we believe that we're well positioned. When you look at Toronto geographically and our relationship with the GTAA, all of these things combined have allowed us to really look and focus at an international strategy where Canada, quite frankly, is one of the top airlines in the world.
Service levels. The onboard experience. Having recently flown on your beautiful Dreamliner, I have to say that you notice that there's a cultural shift. Yeah. Talk to me about that.
Well, I think Kaylin and the executive team, Ben and Klaus, have done a great job in really articulating the importance of service delivery. Right. The fact is we are a four-star airline. We're the only North American four-star airline that operates out of North America, and it's something that we're taking a lot of pride in. The fact is we need to deliver great experience every single time we come in contact with one of our guests, particularly now that we're doing a lot of Sixth Freedom traffic. So we're getting a lot of guests who are flying us for the very first time. So we want to make sure that we're delivering a great experience every single time to retain that business and grow that business. And when you look at our network internationally, we're seeing a lot of new faces. Today we're carrying about 38 million passengers a year. Our forecast for 2020 is we're going to carry 50 million. So in order to do that and have those people continuously come back, we've got to be focused on service delivery.
Unbelievable changes at Air Canada, and I know you must have your hands full, so really, really do appreciate you taking the time to come in and talk to us, Duncan.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and thanks for wearing red today.
Yeah.